We are about to leave the island of Hydra. We're headed to Nafplio, and along the way we are intending to stop at some ruins called Epidavros. And then from there we'll continue on to Nafplio, where we're staying for the next 2 nights. Mark Twain said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness." And many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. Come travel with us as we leave our little corner to explore the world. We made it! Welcome to Epidavros. This was our goal for today. So this morning we crossed the ferry from Hydra over to Mitoki. And by the way, we are saying all of these names wrong. They're extremely limited Greek, and we know that, and we apologize. After we landed back in the Peloponnese area again, then we drove about 75 minutes in order to get to where we are right now, Epidavros. The drive is not for the faint of heart. It is very, very twisty and turny. And if your significant other or friend thinks that they are a rally car driver, you might want to take some ginger or something to help with motion sickness, because it is a lot of twisty and turny roads to get over the mountain passes in order to get here. Then once we're here, this is Epidavros. Epidavros contains the best ancient preserved theater in all of Greece. There are 132 of them in this country, so to say that this is the best really means a lot. It's not what you see behind me. This is part of the rest of the ruins that are here, which are not quite as well preserved, although they are in various states of repair, actually. So it could be fun to come back in another 30 to 100 years. It's really hard to tell the scale of the theater through video, through photos, but I can tell you it's positively massive.
And it seats up to 14,000 people. It's big.
It is said that if you are up in the theater stadium sitting somewhere and somebody is directly in the center and they light a match, you can hear it all the way at the very top. That's not bad for a theater that's 2,500 years old. Something else that's difficult for us to comprehend. It's not only big in scale, but it also really is ancient. Can you hear me now? Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
This was originally part of a broad health center for the ancient Greeks. There were mineral baths, musical and theater performances. People would come here to get healed. The sick would come here to get healed with some relaxation and divine intervention.
This building was called an abaton, and this is where people came in order to be healed here in Epidavros. They would first undergo a purification ritual where they would bathe themselves in purified water, and then they would lie down as though to sleep, and they would be healed hopefully by some snakes.
Snakes? Why did it have to be snakes?
One of the stories that's documented in marble tells the story of a man who had an injury to his toe or his foot, and it was a very severe injury causing him a lot of pain. He went into the abaton after he had prepared himself, and he laid down, and a snake came out of the building and it bit his foot, and when he woke up from his dream, he was healed. Was it a miracle? Was it magic? Was it the gods? How can we say 2,500 years later? All we know is that this place had a lot of mystical meaning for the people who lived back then.
Good morning from Nafplio. We are going to check out a market today. I heard there was a market. We're going to go see what it's about. We don't have any idea what to expect. When we're traveling, we normally like to check out the local produce and handicrafts and whatever we may find. And so we're really excited to check it out.
And it looks really busy. If the parking lot that we're in is any indicator, then this could be a really good one. It only takes place on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and there are no parking spots to be had. So hopefully it's good. Before we take a look at the streets of Nafplio and visit Palamidi Fortress, did you know that Nafplio was the capital of Greece before Athens was? Here's 60 quick seconds on what happened. Our tale starts back in the 18th century, where the Turks and Venetians have been fighting over land and Nafplio changed hands many times. Hang on to your seats, this will fly by. The Venetians built Palamidi Fortress in just 3 years to try to hang on to Nafplio, but alas, it fell to the Turks not long after it was built. The Greek people dreamed of freedom and autonomous rule, and in 1821, the locals started an uprising in large part due to a not-so-secret society that deserves its own 60 seconds. A year or so later, in 1822, Nafplio was reclaimed by the Greeks. A noteworthy Greek diplomat named Capodistrias had retired to Geneva but supported the revolution. The Greek National Assembly voted for him to be their president, but he called himself a governor so he wouldn't upset the European monarchies who were aiding Greece. In 1830, the president/governor worked with the three great powers, that's Britain, Russia, and France, to recognize an independent Greece with Nafplio as its capital. But not all was well back in the Peloponnese. Capodistrias had imprisoned a leader from the Greek rebellion against the Turks because they disagreed on how Greece should be governed now that it was independent. This family solved his imprisonment not by breaking him out, but by both stabbing and shooting the governor on his way to church. The three great powers decided, hey, it might be better to have a monarchy in Greece like theirs after all, so they imported a king to rule, and that's how a 17-year-old prince from Bavaria became King Otto of Greece. In 1834, he moved the capital to the small village Athens for historical reasons, which means if Governor Capodistrias had never been killed, Nafplio might still be the capital today. This morning we are climbing up to the fortress of Palamidi. We actually were in Nafplio once before, about 15 years ago, and this is something that we didn't do last time we were here and we regretted it. It's only 999 steps, so I wish we had started this first thing in the morning rather than late morning.
I wish we'd started 15 years ago on this hike. All right, here goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 96,
997, 998, 999. I'm not gonna make it. Go without me. Save yourself.
If ever there was a more commanding view of a fortress above its city. I'm not aware of one. If you can think of one, put it in the comments. There's actually 3 fortresses here within Nafplio. The one we're standing on, one roughly over there, and then there's an island you can see. And off in the distance, I don't think you can see it on camera, but they used to run a chain between the island fortress and the one across the valley on the other side of the bay, and they would exact tolls on ships passing through. Pretty smart, those Venetians.
Palamidi Fortress is actually 8 bastions that are all connected by walls so that the soldiers could safely move between each of the bastions as shifts changed or as they had to move back and forth. And it is 220 meters above sea level. Well, it took us a while to find it, but here we are in the 8th bastion in the fortress. This one has an interesting story to it. It actually is called the Bastion of Achilles. Achilles is known as a weak spot.
As it happens, here when the fortress was taken by the Ottomans from the
Greeks.
The Ottomans took it from the Venetians. It was from this point that it happened, and then later, about 200 years ago now, so 1821, I believe it was. 1822, all right. The Greeks took it from the Ottomans here at the same exact point.
But it was named that because of its location. It juts out the most and is surrounded on 3 sides by water, making it the most easily accessible out of all the bastions. And let the conquering begin.
So that's it for the fortress. Probably took us about 3 hours, a bit more than most maybe.
Hey, I wanted my €8 per person worth. And I think it was overall a really interesting experience. It is something we would recommend. Right now, the use of masks is mandatory. But once we got away from the first 3 or 4 bastions, really the ones that had the best, most commanding city views, we really didn't see anyone, hardly anyone. We went maybe an hour or 2 without seeing anyone, so we did set them aside, and if we saw people, we would bring them back up and follow the protocol. So we would both recommend wearing tennis shoes or hiking shoes to walk around in here.
Yes.
The stones are extremely smooth, which makes them very slippery.
The footing is extremely uneven, so good hikers are a must.
Absolutely. Well, should we go ahead and drive back down?
Yeah, I think that's all right. I mean, we did drive up here anyway, didn't we?
We sure did. There was no way we were going up 999 steps. Are you crazy? Well, now we're gonna go ahead and drive back down, and maybe you'll see us with some ice cream later on. Next time on Tales from Our Pocket.